Here we are with lexical and functional morpheme. Now, free morpheme can be subdivided into lexical and functional morpheme. So lexical are also free morpheme and functional are also free morpheme. What is the difference? Lexical words are such as nouns, verbs, and adjectives, the most important word class category. And we also call them like open-ended class, like nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So new nouns, new verbs, and new adjectives are added in this list, because you see that every year or every month or after some time there'll be new nouns in dictionary, there'll be new verbs in dictionary, there'll be new adjectives in dictionary. So it means they are open-ended class and the most important like word class, because most of the meanings of the words are carried through nouns, verbs, and adjectives, right? So they are content words. Meanings are carried through lexical word class. So nouns, verbs, and adjectives are also called open-ended word class, right? Because we can add new nouns, we can add new verbs, we can add new adjectives. On the other hand, we have functional free morphemes such as articles, prepositions, conjunctions, and pronouns. So now you can see here that functional free morpheme are also called close-ended class, because rarely we can add new articles, new prepositions, new conjunctions, and new pronoun. The last one is not preposition, is pronoun. Okay, so we do not have most often because like 100 years ago we had the same articles, we had the same prepositions, we had the same conjunction, we had the same pronouns, and still we have the same article, the same preposition, the same conjunction, the same pronouns. So they are called also close-ended class because we cannot add easily more in this category. So articles, prepositions, conjunctions, and pronouns, they are called functional because they use as a sometimes they use to connect sentences, sometimes they use to connect words, sometimes they show location, sometimes they show time. So most of the times, like, they are not content words, they do not carry meaning the way lexical words we have. Next we have, now here we have derivationals and inflectional morpheme. Bound morpheme can be divided also into two categories. One is called derivational morpheme and one is called inflectional morpheme. Now what is the difference between derivational morphemes and inflectional morpheme? We will discuss in coming slide now. You can see here now derivational. What is derivational? So derivational, they are actually bound morpheme to make new words. First thing, derivational morphemes are used to make new words or to make word of or to make words of a different grammatical category from the stem. So there will be one word, stem word, and when you add bound morpheme, derivational morphemes, it will become a different category of word. Let me give you an example. Like we have a word kind. Kind is a noun. Kind is a noun. And when we add un with the kind, it becomes unkind. And with adding this prefix an, the category of the word kind also changes into adjective. So first the word which is a noun, kind, and when you add un with a kind, so it becomes adjective. So you can see that we are making a new word through the use of derivational morpheme. Derivational morpheme is a bound morpheme and it is used to make new words or to change the grammatical category of a word. A word which was first a verb, it becomes a noun. Like let me give another example. We have a word like teach. Teach is a verb. And when we add er, derivational morpheme, so it becomes a noun, teacher. So from the teach, it becomes a teacher. So it's a different grammatical category. Teach is a verb, teacher is a noun. So we are making new word also when we are also changing the grammatical category. And this derivational morpheme can be used as a suffix and it can be used as a affix. Like I told you that kind, unkind, un is a prefix. And I told you that teach and teacher is a suffix here. Let's come to the next slide. Here we have inflectional morpheme, which are quite different from derivational morpheme. Inflectional morpheme do not change the grammatical category of a word, or it cannot make new words. Rather, it has only grammatical function. Like they are not used to produce new words in a language, but rather to indicate aspect of grammatical function of a word. So there will be aspect of grammatical function, and this aspect of grammatical function can be like to make a word plural, to make a word tense of past tense, and to add like apostrophe, and other can be like to make comparative. So inflectional morphemes, simply they are not used to make new word, right, in a language, or they are not used to change the grammatical category of a word, but rather they indicate aspect of grammatical function of a word. An aspect can be to make a plural from a singular, to make comparative from simple degree of adjective, or to make the past tense, or to make possessive form. So here we have now morphological description, how to make a description of a word, or how to make analysis of a word, how to see the internal structure of a word. So how to describe, okay, we have a sentence. In a sentence we have different words, and we want to find out that inside a word how many morphemes are there, or whether free morpheme, bound morpheme, suffix, infix, prefix, right? Or we have like a lexical category, or we have like a functional category. So these all are discussed in morphological description. So here we will have morphological description. Difference between derivational and inflectional morpheme. Here we differentiate that how derivational morpheme are different from inflectional morpheme. An inflectional morpheme never changes the grammatical category of a word, as earlier discussed. So inflectional morpheme, they do not change the grammatical category of a word or to make new word, only there will be some grammatical function to make plural, or to make like comparative adjective, or to make like the possessive form, or to make like a word from singular to plural. While on the other hand, a derivational morpheme can change the grammatical category of a word. As I told you that a word might be a verb, it becomes a noun. A word might be like we have a word beauty, which is a noun, and when we add like a suffix full, it becomes adjective like beautiful. So this is the example of beautiful can be derivational morpheme, and the example of books can be inflectional morpheme. So with s, when we add s with a book, it becomes plural, and when we add full, suffix full, with the word beauty, it becomes adjective. So in the first one, inflectional morpheme, the grammatical category or new word is not created, while in the second, inflectional morpheme, only the aspect of a word is changed, or grammatical functional is changed, which was first a singular becomes a plural. Now the verb, here we have further explanation that the verb teach becomes the noun teacher if we add the derivational morpheme r from Old English r. So the suffix r in modern English can be an inflectional morpheme as part of adjective, also distinct derivational morpheme is a part of a noun. So here we see that now in modern time this ERR, it can be both derivational and functional morpheme. Like in the word nicer, it is like inflectional morpheme because it does not change the grammatical category, because nice is also adjective and nicer is also adjective. We are adding er at the end as a suffix, and when we add er at the end with the verb teach, it becomes teacher. So teacher, it becomes like a noun. From the verb teach, it becomes teacher, noun. So on the one hand, when we add er as an inflectional, like with nice, nicer, only from a simple degree we change into comparative degree. So they do not change like word category. While in the second one, teacher, teach is a verb and teacher is a noun, grammatical category is changed. So this can be used as inflectional as well as derivational. So and we can end this slide. They just because they look the same doesn't mean that they do the same kind of work. The work of this will be different. Sometimes it will be derivational and sometimes it will be inflectional. Now here we have morphological description of this sentence. So whenever you're doing morphological differences, so you have to identify whether the morphemes which are used are free morpheme or they are bound morpheme. Now in free morpheme you have to identify whether in free morpheme they are lexical free morpheme or they are functional free morpheme, and in bound morpheme you have to identify whether they are derivational morpheme or they are inflectional morpheme. So look at this sentence that the child's wildness shocked the teacher. So here we have 11 morphemes. Some of the morphemes are free, some of morphemes are bound, and some of in free they are lexical and some are functional, and bound some are derivational and some are inflectional. Let's identify them. The first, the. Now the is a free functional morpheme. It's a free morpheme, and in free it is functional morpheme. And then we have child's. Child is a lexical free morpheme, and we can find this apostrophe in S, which show possessive or possessiveness. So this apostrophe and S, child's. So we have here two morpheme. Child is a free lexical morpheme, and this S, it is bound morpheme, and in bound morpheme it is called inflectional morpheme. Then again we have wildness. The wildness has two morpheme. One is wild, one is ness. So wild is a free lexical morpheme, and ness, it is a bound derivational morpheme. Then we have the word shocked. Shock is a free lexical morpheme, and it is a bound inflectional morpheme. Then we have the. It is a free functional morpheme. Then we have teachers. Here we have three morpheme. One is teach, one is one is s. So we have three morpheme. The first one, teach, which is a free lexical morpheme, which is a verb, and then adding er, it becomes a noun, so it is a derivational morpheme, or we can call it derivational bound morpheme. And then we have finally s to make it plural, and this is bound inflectional morpheme. So here overall we have 11 morphemes. Next, this is the overall summary. Now next slides. This is the overall summary. A useful way to remember all these different types of morpheme is the following chart. A morphemes can be free morpheme or it can be bound morpheme. A free morpheme is then lexical or it is functional. The example of lexical is child and teach. The example of functional is and the. Morpheme can be bound. Bound can be derivational or it can be inflectional. Again, two types. Derivational is re and ness to make new word or change the category of a word, and inflectionals only the grammatical function is there, and this is and ed. So this is the overall summary. Now here we will have a very important discussion on morphs and allomorph. Now to understand the concept of a morph and to understand the concept of allomorph, it is mandatory to understand what is phone and what is allophone. So on the one hand we have phone, and on the other hand we have phoneme. Phoneme, it is abstract, it is in your mind, and when you utter it, right, you make a sound, and when you give it like a real shape, it becomes phone, or we call it a phone. And because one phoneme has several variants, and these several variants are called then allophone. Like for example, we have the phoneme p, and p, it has several variants because when it comes in the beginning of a word, so there'll be puff of the ear, like when we say Pakistan, so it'll be puff of the ear. And when p is produced somewhere in the middle, so there will be less puff of the ear, and at the end you might not feel that puff of the ear. So one phoneme has several realization, and that several realization or several variants are called allophone. Similarly, we have one morpheme, and the actual representation on a piece of paper or when you utter that morpheme, it is called morph. And one morpheme has several realization, and those several realizations are called allomorph. So allomorph are just like allophone, and morph is just like a phone. So what is a morph? Morphs are the actual shape or the realization of a morpheme. And what is allomorph? Allomorph are the variant of the same morpheme. Now morph are the actual shape or realization of a morpheme. They are defined as the element of speech writing that represent and express one or more morpheme. And Legentens defines morph as a specific pronunciation associated with a specific meaning, such that pronunciations cannot be broken down into meaningful parts whose meanings combine to form a meaning of the whole. So we cannot further divide it. For example, the word man is carrying one morph and one morpheme, while the word man is carrying one morph and two morpheme, because man plus plural. So when we say that man, you have in mind man, and when you utter or when you write on a piece of paper man, so this sound cannot be further divided into several parts. So man, it has only one morph, while it has two morpheme. One is singular man and one is plural, the plural of man. Because the form man cannot be divided, so it is the actual form of the word means the morph. But this signal form is carrying two different meaning. Man plus plural means the two morphemes. Now, what is allomorph? Allomorph are the variant of the same phoneme. They are said to be different realizations of one morpheme. Allomorph are the positional variant of morpheme. They are in complementary distribution, means where one occur, the other cannot occur. For example, the plural marker s has three allomorph, s, z, and is. So this one morpheme s has three different variants. So s, it will be called like a morph, or it will be called like a morpheme. S is one morpheme, and s has three different realization. One is s, one is z, one is. So like in books, it is s, and like in bags, it is z, and like in buses, it is. So which occur in three different environments, such as cats, dogs, and buses. So cats is a different environment, dogs is a different environment, and buses is a different environment. Similarly, like t, d, and id are the positional variant allomorph of the same morpheme. Morpheme is what? That is d, and d has three different variants, t and d and id. Now the past tense would be ed marker. Thus we can say that if the different morph represent the same morpheme are grouped together, are called the allomorph of that morpheme. Example of t, d, and it can be like when we say cooked, C-O-O-K-E-D, cooked. So there is ed, but the sound is t, cooked. Or worked, W-O-R-K-E-D, worked. This is one variant. And the same can be played, P-L-A-Y-E-D, played. The sound is d. Or the same can be studied, S-T-U-D-I-D, studied, so id. So the same ed can have t, or it can have d, or it can have id. So this is like the variant of the same morpheme d. Thank you so much, and please, if you have any question or any where or any slides you have confusion, so please you can raise your question and I will answer. Thank you so much.